So hello everyone, I want to welcome you today to today's International Contact Center Academy training webinar, Demystifying Contact Center Analytics, What to Choose and When, presented today by industry experts from Ovum and VPI. My name is Lauren Hughes and I'll be your host today. Just to let everyone know, all attendees have been placed in listen-only mode, so if you have any questions during the webcast, please feel free to type them into the question box on your screen. And we will definitely try to answer as many of your questions as possible at the end of the webinar within the allotted hour. We will be requesting your feedback on 2 audience participation polls during the webinar and also a brief summary after the webinar, so I thank you in advance for your participation on that. Just to go straight into what we'll be discussing today, contact center analytics are helping contact centers of all types and sizes rapidly identify and solve their critical business issues. The adoption of contact center analytics applications is expected to grow significantly in 2011. But with so many different analytics tools available, what technology should you use to solve your problems and get the results you expect most efficiently? So today we'll explore 3 of the most commonly evaluated and used contact center analytics solutions, which are performance analytics, desktop analytics, and speech analytics. And we will provide you with a framework for successfully implementing the best analytics tool for your environment. So today it's my pleasure to introduce Aphrodite Brinsmead. As an analyst of the customer interaction team at Ovum, part of the Data Monitor Group, Aphrodite covers contact center markets and technologies. Her work primarily focuses on analyzing trends, strategies, and practices for technologies, including analytics, CRM, workforce optimization, and social media. She is the esteemed author of several emergency contact center technology reports and white papers. Aphrodite holds a BE in microelectronics and software engineering from the University of Newcastle upon Tyne, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's also a pleasure of mine to introduce Patrick Boats from VPI. Patrick Boats serves as the Vice President of Workforce Optimization for VPI, which is the leading provider of contact center analytics, quality monitoring, and workforce optimization solutions. Leveraging more than a decade of field experience as a contact center practitioner, Patrick works very closely with customers to capture, analyze, and improve their mission-critical customer interactions. He received his bachelor's in engineering from the Arizona State University and his MBA from Pepperdine University in California. A little background on VPI. VPI is an established company with a rich 15-year history of providing exceptional service and solutions to over 1,300 customers, including 1800flowers.com, AAA, AT&T, Banner Health, CNN, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, IBM, and also Delta Airlines. VPI has several offices throughout North America and multiple sales and support partners throughout the world. Today we will learn how contact center analytics can help you rapidly identify and solve your critical business and customer experience issues, and we will be discussing key contact center analytics trends and innovations, the pros and cons and best uses of performance analytics, desktop analytics, and speech analytics technologies. We will also discuss how to make the findings from analytics actionable in your organization, best practices for implementing analytics to solve critical issues, and how a leading organization uses analytics to significantly reduce costs and increase revenues. So before we get started today, we'd like to request your participation on a poll on which analytics technologies you are currently using in your contact center, if any. So the poll, which analytics technologies are you currently using? We have agent performance management analytics, desktop analytics, speech analytics, text analytics, and analytics not yet deployed. So if you can take a moment and just check the box of which applies to you, we'll give you a moment or so. That would be appreciated. And again, if none apply, you do not need to check a box. So to go over the results that we're seeing here, it looks like Agent Performance Management Analytics comes in as the number one, which is being currently used, and second is Desktop Analytics. So that gives us a little idea of what each of you are working with. So now I am pleased to welcome Aphrodite to begin.
Thank you very much, Lauren, and welcome to our webinar today. As she said, my name is Aphrodite Brinsmead, and I'm a Customer Interaction Technologies Analyst at Ovum, and I'm based here in New York. I've been researching workforce optimization quite a bit over the last few years and written a number of reports, some of which were listed earlier on analytics, anything from desktop analytics to speech analytics, and also looking at more kind of advanced futuristic tools in terms of cross-channel analytics. And I wanted to start off by talking today a bit about some of the trends in the contact center and how technology is evolving. We're all aware of how the web and social media is impacting our lives and consumers, but what does this mean for customer service? I think the ways that consumers communicate and search for information is really changing, and rather than necessarily ringing up a contact center as the first port of call, customers are now can reach out to peers on forums, look on FAQ pages, they can rate products and services online and look at blogs and social media to get their information before they call into a contact center. And I think this is changing the way that customers interact with businesses, and many of the interactions are now carried out via smartphones or any kind of mobile device. So customers are also active and in communication with each other as well as businesses at any time of the day. And this diagram really shows how contact center technology is adapting to consumer trends. The contact center is not just a telephone-based communication hub anymore. It's handling queries from email, instant messaging, and moving forward, social media as well. There's a need to deliver better self-service tools on the web through communities and networks of customers. And technology is becoming a lot more complex in order to adapt to these trends and new channels. I'm not going to discuss all of these tools that I've listed here today. It's just to kind of give you an idea about how complexity is increasing as consumers communicate through new ways. And I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot more social and online tools evolving. And this really kind of brings me on to my next slide. Increasing complexity of customer service is driving a need for analytics. And at the same time, analytics is evolving to adapt to these trends. I think analytics originally, with performance management, was focused on understanding trends within the contact center. So performance management enables contact centers to look at how agents are performing, looking at metrics such as average handle time or call length. And desktop analytics as well is also focused on the agent, how they're behaving, how can you improve things internally within the contact center. But as analytics evolves, it's becoming a lot more intelligent, and it now includes ways to measure both agent and customer behavior. For example, speech analytics helps us to look at more in-depth on why customers are calling, as well as to determine the ways that agents respond and discover whether the calls are resolved. And these are the three technologies, performance analytics, desktop, and speech analytics, I'm going to discuss in a bit more detail over the next few slides. But I also wanted to mention two emerging technologies. These are multi-channel analytics and cross-channel analytics. And I think these are really driven by the online trends that I mentioned before on the last slide. As agents began to respond to customers through email, instant messenger, Twitter, and even SMS, you need to understand how agents are performing across these channels, how customers are using these channels, and ensure that consistent information is being delivered. So where in the past you may have relied on feedback and surveys to understand customers, I think multi-channel analytics now can help provide additional insight. And how Ovum defines these two types of analytics are multi-channel analytics is a tool to monitor interactions across channels within the same application, and it provides insight into agent behavior across phone, email, web chat, so that you can compare their effectiveness. And where multi-channel analytics is looking at processes inside the contact center, we really see cross-channel analytics as looking at the world of customer interactions through the customer lens. You may also hear this referred to as customer experience or behavioral analytics. And what cross-channel analytics does is track customer interactions as they move between different channels. For example, a customer might want to buy a new TV. They might look on a web page, on a website, then they might have a question and chat to an agent via an instant messaging system before they call into the contact center with additional questions or to make a purchase. And the analytics solution connects the different data stages using a customer ID, customer telephone number, in order to link up the different processes of the interaction. And this technology is evolving, but we expect to see more viable solutions for this coming into the market in 2011. And over the next few years, I also expect to see a lot more in terms of real-time capabilities with analytics and better links between agent performance and customer behavior. And this slide here is a chart taken from my recent workforce optimization model, it's a global model detailing spending on each of the different technologies listed. The chart actually lists spending in North America only, and I just thought this was relevant to include today, because analytics that we see here is actually one of the fastest growing workforce optimization technologies. And Ovum, we've predicted that contact center analytics is going to grow at 11% compound annual growth rate between 2010 and 2015 in North America. And considering the slow-growing economy and reduced spending, I think this is going to be one of the top technologies to deploy over the next few years. We see it as being a key tool in understanding and adapting to customer behavior. But what do these analytics tools do, and how do you know which is suitable for your business? I'm going to give a quick overview of the three main analytics tools that are in use today over the next few slides. Performance analytics. So this is really scorecards, reporting, and it's about understanding the performance of your individual agents, performance of teams and groups, and then looking at that within the aspect of the overall contact center. And you can monitor agent activity based on certain metrics that you might set yourself, or that might be preset, kind of standardized criteria, average handle time, the number of calls answered. And you can link these to business objectives or training to try and understand better like how your contact center is performing. I think some of the advantages and when you might need to deploy performance analytics includes, as well as to understand agent performance, you're going to get real-time metrics on your desktop. So both agents and managers will review, they'll have a little ticker across the screen showing the metrics and how they're performing. And I think this kind of insight for agents on their desktop can also help to motivate agents if they're in a sales or collections environment. They can view how they're doing, compare themselves to like the average team score, and it can kind of motivate them to try a bit harder. Performance analytics, another advantage of it is that it provides a way to consolidate and integrate metrics from different systems onto the same interface, so you can compare trends. And where the value of performance analytics really comes in is when it's linked with training, and you can use e-learning and coaching applications to suggest training to agents based on skills gaps or weaknesses that you find through the performance system. And finally, you're able to root cause by the agent skill sets. So if a customer calling has a high value, you want to route them to the best performing agent. And on to desktop and process analytics. This is an application that runs on the agent's desktop. As agents open applications or switch between them, you can monitor and record their actions. And then you can review these to find out which applications are used most frequently, which applications are redundant, and which applications are causing issues for agents. Maybe there's a lot of manual repetitive processes or data input. How can you find these things and eliminate them? And that's really what this type of analytics is for. I think one of the the important points to note about desktop and process analytics is by looking at processes and workflows and automating repetitive manual tasks, you can create a better working environment for agents. And if information is fed to them quicker, you can also help to reduce average handle time, which will create a better customer interaction. One of the other points to note about desktop analytics is that this can be used to deliver scripting and real-time guidance to agents, depending on their actions, the things that they click or select within the agent desktop. It can help them find out information and answers faster. Desktop analytics can also be used to classify calls based on actions that the agents take within the screen, and this can be done as the agent's working and speaking to the customer. I think the overall purpose of desktop process analytics is to optimize processes and workflows, make an easier working environment for the agent, and also speed up average handle time. And finally, first contact resolution. You can look at agent input, see whether calls are resolved. So speech analytics is a method of analyzing the recorded audio by content, and it's slightly different from the other two in that it's also taking into consideration customer behavior and what customers are asking for, rather than just looking at agent performance and agent behavior. So there's three core uses for speech analytics. You can categorize calls, you can use it for emotion detection, and also root cause analysis. What root cause analysis is this helps to determine what issues that you have in the contact center. You might search for keywords and phrases and look at trends of how popular the particular words and phrases are. And this can be represented graphically or via a list, and you can then drill down and listen to relevant calls, or find the particular point in the call where a word occurs rather than having to listen to the whole thing. And there's two types of technology that's used for speech recognition today. One of them is large vocabulary continuous speech recognition, LVCSR. And this is where all the audio is transcribed into text. And the other type of technology is called phonetic indexing, which uses sound to index the audio without a need for transcription. And I know that a number of the solutions that are available today contain both types of these technology, which increases the flexibility. So some of the reasons to deploy speech analytics include to classify calls into different categories. You might want to understand which calls are for billing, which calls are people calling to cancel their account. And these can also be linked with quality monitoring, so that say that you wanted one call from billing, one call from cancellation, one call about fee changes. You can automate the process of which type of calls go into your quality monitoring system to be reviewed. I think understanding why customers are calling is one of the key benefits of speech analytics. You need to do this so you can prepare agents or to improve processes and internal issues to try and create a better product or service for your customers. So in order to try and resolve issues before they escalate, what speech analytics does, which is very beneficial, is monitor how words and phrases, how popular they are and whether they increase. So for example, say in one day you had 10 people calling about a fee change, and the next day you had 1,000 people that call into your contact center to ask about the same thing, you might realize that there's some kind of issue. Perhaps something's changed on the website, perhaps they've all received a letter. You need to find the root cause of this, and speech analytics will help you to do this faster than by manually listening to all the calls or relying on feedback from agents. Speech analytics can also help with script compliance, so you might want to check that key phrases are being used or information is being kept confidential where necessary. And also finally, to determine for first call resolution, you might want to search for a phrase such as already called or link customer information between different channels to determine if their issues are being solved. So Ovum really recommends that before you consider implementing these types of analytics, you want to consider what your business objectives are. what's the key focus for your organization and how can you improve it? This table here lists a few different areas of the contact center you might be looking to improve and which type of solution would best match your needs, whether your focus is on agents, the customers, processes, or all of these factors. And I think it's important to note that these types of analytics aren't necessarily to be deployed independently, and it may be even beneficial to link data from each different system to provide better insight and gain more value. And on to my final slide, I just wanted to make some recommendations. I think once you've determined your business objectives, deployed the analytics solution, you really need to take action on your findings to gain the best value. And firstly, I think analytics is useful to improve processes for agents. The agent work environment is often overlooked, and analytics can be used both performance management, desktop analytics, and speech analytics to try and create a better system and work environment for the agents. How can you improve workflows and eliminate repetitive manual tasks? And as well as improving the customer experience, this will also help agents to perform better and increase job satisfaction, which can help you with agent churn. My second point is about predicting customer behavior. As well as trying to understand what's going on, you can use past and historical analytical data to think about what customer trends and what queries are going to be asked in the future. And then this is helpful because then you can prepare staff by training them appropriately and improve online information, which really leads me on to my next point about linking to other workforce optimization tools. I've just put a couple of examples here, and there's many other kind of combinations of workforce optimization tools that you might find valuable. Firstly, quality monitoring can be linked with speech analytics. As I mentioned briefly before, you might want to use speech analytics to select the call category for calls that you wish to review. With training, if you have agents that are consistently scoring low performance scores, you can send them to relevant training courses. And this can all be automated if the systems are linked. With scheduling, if you can predict the type of calls that are going to be coming into the contact center and when they'll occur, you can also use this information to schedule the right agents with the right knowledge and make sure that they're available. I think it's important to connect information within the contact center with external departments. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's the product teams. If you discover a problem on the website by listening to calls that are coming into the contact center, you need to relate this information to the appropriate departments so issues can be resolved. And I think speech and real-time performance analytics can help you pinpoint issues, whether it's with the agent training or agent knowledge, or whether it's about processes that the customers need to use. And I think these tools are very valuable in resolving issues. And that's all of my slides, and I think I'm going to hand this over to Patrick to present on some case studies and some screenshots for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Aphrodite. This is fantastic information. Before I get started, I'd like to launch another poll here and ask you which use of analytics, now that you've heard a lot of the uses of analytics, which use of analytics is most appealing to you? And if you could just select one, please, and we'll show the poll results in a minute or so. We have understanding customer reasons, and then we have improving first contact resolution, ensuring compliance, reducing handle time for certain call types, and boosting sales or collections. Appreciate your help taking the poll. All right. Go ahead and show the results now. All right, so it looks like improving first contact resolution is most appealing. followed by reducing handle time for certain call types, and understanding customer reasons for calling. And then followed by ensuring compliance and then boosting sales or collections. I'm going to show you today how we help customers do each of these using different types of analytical tools that Aphrodite introduced. So why do we need analytics? And Aphrodite talked about a lot of the benefits of analytics, but really you have 90% of customer contact outside of the storefront is coming through the contact center, and then 95% of those communications, if not more, aren't really being analyzed. You think of the hundreds of thousands of communications, interactions that are coming in that we're not capturing or analyzing. Most of us typically do have a quality monitoring team that analyzes calls, but primarily for agent compliance. So what we're getting in that scenario is by randomly monitoring 3 to 5 calls per agent per month, or 10 calls for new hire per agent per month. We're getting very low value interactions that often aren't really coachable and not really that useful. They're not giving us any insight. Yeah, we can grade the agent, but that's really about it. What we're looking for and what we're seeing is a big shift towards really trying to identify these high-value interactions, either the worst practice interactions here on the left or the best practice interactions, ones where our top agents are to learn what they're doing so we can use those processes and those skills that they've attained to train other agents on what our high-performing agents are doing. So that's really what analytics helps us do, is really get to what matters most. And this is the Pareto rule you may be familiar with, but essentially what it says is, if you think about it, 20% of motorists account for 80% of accidents, right? 20% of students account for 80% of absences. If you think of the clothes in your closet, right, 20% of those clothes are probably 80% of what you wear most of the time. Then when it gets into actual business, 20% of your customers account for 80% of your profits. Again, products and services, 20% of those will account for your sales volume and your complaints. And then first contact resolution, we saw that was a big issue. 20% of reasons for calling typically account for 80% of repeat calls. So really we want to focus in and hone in on that 20% or those key issues that are really driving either repeat calls or sales volume or profits or complaints. So I wanted to get into a little more detail on some of the advantages and challenges on each of the analytics, the top 3 analytics solutions being deployed today. And it's really exciting time because these technologies, each of these 3, have really crossed the technology chasm, and they're being adopted rapidly by organizations. So as you can see from the initial poll that performance analytics, over 50% of organizations on this webinar have already adopted it, and desktop and speech are in the teens and are moving forward. So based on our experience, these are the advantages. So desktop analytics, it's a highly accurate. What it does is essentially follows the agent as they go through their application screens, whether it be a web-based screen or a thick client. It's going to follow them through, and it's going to essentially tag events and data. Any field they enter, it can pull that information, tag it to the call. Any screen they go into, it can let us know that they went into that screen. And it's highly accurate. Every time they go into a field or select a drop-down value or do anything in the application, we're going to know about it. It sounds agent-focused, but I'll show you a little bit more about how we can turn that information into valuable customer information as well. Very cost-effective compared to other types of analytics. Very flexible in terms of as your processes change and evolve. It's very easily adaptable to those processes. You're essentially drawing boxes around the fields that you want to capture and mapping certain events or screens that agents go into, mapping them to the interaction. And it's very easy to change as your organization changes. And rapid implementation is possible depending on what you're looking to capture from your application screen. The challenges typically have to do with workflow design. So you may have 9 ways that you start an order, or 9 ways that you start a new account. So you have to map each of those ways of starting an order to the interaction, so you can capture every time that they start an order. If you want to know that within a call, you need to map all those ways. So workflow design is important, and you need to know how you do that. So that's important. And then it may involve multiple desktop applications, so you have to map to different applications. And typically, we've seen customers with over 40 different desktop applications, right? It really allows you to, as you go through this process of implementing desktop analytics, you learn a lot about your processes and workflows and what can be optimized and improved as well. And just like Aphrodite mentioned, the 2 key things are really a solid understanding of your goals and KPIs required, not just for desktop analytics, but for all types of analytics. You really need to understand what you're trying to accomplish with it, and then it's easier to match up, all right, what technology do we want to use, and how do we want to use that technology? And then the other part, the second part, is making the information actionable, which Aphrodite talked about too. So key that it's not, these aren't standalone tools being used by 3 people in a room somewhere trying to, analyze data, and none of that information is getting to the floor. So that becomes important. Speech analytics is really a fantastic tool for script compliance, right? If there's mini Mirandas or things like that that need to be followed. And as Aphrodite mentioned, it's also fantastic at determining customer insight, things that you may not be aware of in terms of what the customers are saying. And it can detect previously undetectable criteria that you might not be able to get, by following the agents through their application screens or from other systems within your contact center. The challenges, and there definitely are challenges, but speech analytics is maturing, is accuracy can be poor as a standalone. When you combine speech analytics with other applications and other data and other metadata that you're collecting in your contact center, it becomes a lot more valuable. And I'll show you an example of that. When it's context-driven and you know what types of phrases to look for within certain types of calls, it becomes valuable. If you just apply speech analytics to all your calls, it can become very expensive, and it's not as accurate as if you actually know what you're looking for, and it's directed within categorized calls. Extensive tuning may be required, different languages, depending on what type of languages or accents or dialects that you support. It does typically require some tuning, and it can be processing and hardware intensive, right? So if you just apply speech analytics to all your calls, it can get pretty intensive and expensive. However, if you target certain types of calls that you're really trying to solve, whether it be certain types of repeat calls and things like that, it becomes more accurate and also less costly. Another thing is the timeliness of the results. It's not, it's moving towards real time. It's not there yet necessarily, but the ability to use those results and make them actionable, even if it is the day after or a few hours after the interaction that it's processed. A lot of times we have results. We just need to, as organizations, use those results better and make them more operational and actionable. And for some smaller organizations, it may be cost prohibitive. But again, that is getting better, and speech analytics more and more is becoming out of the box and available for smaller and mid-sized companies as well. Performance analytics really the value of performance analytics is just huge. A majority of you are using it, 53% I think it was. Really what it does is gives you one single source of the truth. So it's going to consolidate all of your reporting from multiple systems, whether it be your dialer, your PBX, your workforce management, your customer serving, your QA, and these types of other sources. It can include desktop and speech analytics. It's going to show you key correlations from data from different systems. And now everyone's really tracking the same KPIs from report to report within your organization. And what it does, it makes that information actionable. So it presents information in different ways to different levels of the organization. So agents see it in desktop tickers, like little CNN tickers, which I'll show you. And managers, get consolidated reports they can drill through. And executives get more of a graphical dashboards, if you will, balanced scorecards. So, it's a fantastic technology. Again, performance analytics is one of those that scales down really well. So whether you have 10 agents all the way to 10,000 or more agents, it's one of those tools that's affordable for organizations of all sizes. Some of the challenges is that if you do have multiple systems, setup can take a little bit longer because we do have to create connectors to a lot of those systems. We have majority of the connectors out of the box for the major ACDs, workforce management systems, survey systems, and things of that nature. But typically there are some homegrown systems that we need to connect to as well to get like sales data, or sometimes people have homegrown collection systems, and we need to connect to those to get them all consolidated. A big thing with performance analytics is typically, do we build it internally using our IT resources, or do we buy a package that has a lot of connectors already? And this is typically what we help our customers with. It's helping them, create that business case for purchasing. And really the case is around the continuity with changes. As your environment changes, are you going to be able to maintain those integrations to all those systems to be able to get the data into one single repository, if you will? And we have a lot of integrations and partnerships with all the major contact center software providers, and we're in their labs constantly updating on latest versions, so you don't have to worry about when things change that you're not going to get that information. Again, you do need a solid understanding of what KPIs you want to display to your agents, which ones you want to display to supervisors and so forth. Certain KPIs may be interesting to you, but you may not want your agents to see them in real time, because if you show them the wrong metrics in real time, they'll get there really quick. So first I'd like to take a closer look at desktop analytics, which is really one of the most revolutionary contact center analytics tools today. This is a quote from Paul Stockford, and really what he says is it delivers significant value in a short period of time through the identification of actionable business information and improvement opportunities. And the key word here is really the ease of implementation of desktop analytics and the ability for that information to be actionable. So I'll show you, if you're not familiar with the power of desktop analytics, I'll show you a sample order information screen, and this could be a plain screen or any type of screen that you're working with. But essentially what it does is as they start the order, let's say a way to start the order is they click on this general tab. At that point in the interaction, and you'll see the media player below, it's going to actually mark that in the call record and say, all right, at this point we know the order started. And we say, wow, there's some interesting data already that's already pre-populated in the CRM system that we may want to capture. At that point, it's going to capture the information that you're interested in capturing. So if you said, I want to know the order ID, the customer ID, and almost every one of our customers wants customer ID. We used to have to do back-end integrations to their CRM system to get this, but now it's as easy as drawing a box around the customer ID field and mapping that to the recording. So they want customer ID, and I'll explain why they want customer ID in a minute. But essentially what happens is the order is taken, they enter more information, the agent does, and then when they click OK, or any way that they complete the order, that's going to get marked in the interaction below. And there's other information now that the agent entered that we're interested in capturing. So the value of the sale, $395.50, and the order type or the product or service. In this case, it's an upgrade. So we want to capture all the information. So we're essentially tagging as much information as we can to the interaction to help us more easily analyze what and categorize calls. Here's some of the other data that some of our customers are tagging through desktop analytics. So for different types of environments, sales environment, service environment, support, the ticket number, the case type, the case severity, the status, customer status, all that information could be tagged to the interaction. Collections environments, there's a lot of valuable information that you might want to tag. We also do this for 911 centers, public safety and security, where they want to tag the incident type and the incident location, where was that emergency, and the severity, so they can easily recreate those incidents. And you'll notice under sales, service, and healthcare here we have mask and mute. And if any of you take credit card information or sensitive patient information, the PCI regulations, if you will, for credit card, and the HIPAA regulations for patient private information, or holding that information private. Desktop analytics is probably the best tool out there today to mask and mute out those portions of the interaction. Here's an example. So on the right here, you can see the actual interaction, and where there was sensitive information, this is happens to be PCI information. So where there's the CVC codes, the account numbers, call holder names, the solution, desktop analytics, is able to say, all right, we know when this person went into the application or the screen where the credit card was being taken, and all this information is being taken. And we know when they leave that screen. And during that period, we want to mask out the video, so you won't see the screen video during that period, and we're going to mute the audio as well. So very powerful for complying with these types of security regulations. So another thing, what's nice is once you've tagged all this information, you're able to assemble interactions. And typically, if you think of your recording system, you typically got, call audio, possibly you're doing screen recording. Maybe you want to look at wrap time and things like that to see what they're doing after the call and how they're navigating through their screen. And typically, we evaluate the agent. We evaluate a call segment. If we're lucky, we got some nice call metadata from CTI, and we're able to get holds and transfers, right? So we're able to not just evaluate one segment, but we evaluate, after they're put on hold, if they're transferred to someone, and we get what we call an interaction. Now with desktop analytics and desktop data and events, we're able to get more information. So the reason customers typically want to tag customer ID to every call or case ID is now the system automatically pulls together every interaction within the last 30 days, last 7 days, last 45 days. You decide what time period, but it'll pull every interaction together from that customer, so you can really get a total customer experience and see what that customer is dealing with. Why did they have to call for their cable bill? And maybe it wasn't just calls, maybe it was emails, chats. Why did they have to contact you 8, 9 times over the last 7 days to try to solve their issue? You can do that now because you have customer ID or case ID. Other thing that it does is it basically will, depending on whatever type of issue you're trying to solve, and it's important that up front you define what issues you're looking to solve. So a lot of you, 63% of you said, first contact resolution. So what it's going to do is basically tell you every time that customer calls in with either the same case ID, if you will, or for the same reason. And the beauty of desktop analytics is you can either get reason from the drop-down menu and their disposition code, and if you're not confident that that's accurate, we have some customers that QA against that drop-down menu, and it's really accurate because they're actually grading their agents on it. But if you're not that confident, you can use desktop analytics to follow the agent through the applications, and if they go into a billing screen, if they go into an account address change screen, if they go into a certain type of screen, you can map those reasons to the interaction. And if that customer calls in within 30 days or 45 days for the same reason, whatever time period you define for that department, then it's going to know it's a repeat call. It's going to bucket it. Customer defection, if that's your goal, you may want to look at canceled accounts, canceled orders. And really what we're trying to do here is move away from agent-centric monitoring to more of a process or customer-focused monitoring to figure out how we can improve our business effectiveness. Handle time is a big one. So you might want to look at certain call types, right? There's certain call types that if we reduce handle time, we'll probably give a better experience. Maybe it's call processes, right? So if you think about customer verification, that doesn't really add that much value, but some agents, it may take them longer to do that, or taking credit cards. There's certain processes that just don't add a lot of value to the customer experience. We kind of moved away as an industry from managing handle time at the agent level, but I think it's important to start looking at handle time by different types of calls, by processes within calls, and look at calls where there's multiple transfers or holds or things of that nature. Sales acceleration and collections, I know 18% of you said that was the key goal for analytics. So things you might want to look at is new orders, upsell attempts, where they started an upsell, they went into the upsell screen, and then they didn't finish that upsell opportunity. Why did that occur? Are they giving credits that shouldn't have been issued, right? Are there certain types of, they're giving credits where they didn't really need to, right? And collections, some examples are, high handle time with no promise to pay. So you now know handle time, and you know if there's a promise to pay. So you say, well, why did we spend so much time? We didn't get a promise to pay. Or what are our best agents doing? Why are they getting instant payments? Can we replicate those best practices? Late fees waived. Again, that's almost like credits issues. Are we waiving late fees where we really don't need to? Could there be a training issue there? Quick hang-ups is another one that's pretty common. So solving first contact resolution, want to just dive a little bit deeper here. So once you have repeat interactions based on either the same case ID or maybe you find out that there's order status, product issues, billing inquiries, complaints, you can start bucketing these interactions to really dive down and do some root cause analysis. So it's basically the analytics solution, whether it's desktop analytics or speech analytics, and we call those interaction analytics. They kind of just use different approaches at getting at the same information. It's going to classify or bucket your calls and look something like this. So this is, again, it has kind of a Pareto line to it. So you can see here that 81% of my repeat interactions had to do with billing inquiries. And it doesn't always come out exactly as to one category. It might be 2 or 3 categories that make up the 80% that you really want to focus on. So here, essentially, we know we need to focus on billing inquiries, and we want to dive deeper into why billing inquiries, and it may be a spike, it may just have always been that way, and we just need to dive deeper into that. And that's what we call root cause analysis. And there's really two key ways to do root cause analysis. One is to leverage your existing QA team, and often we have customers that do both of these. So you may want to leverage your existing QA team, and that's what we call precision quality monitoring, where we're going to schedule a random sample of those billing inquiries to the QA team to evaluate. They can still evaluate agents, right? They'll still score the agents on how they're handling billing inquiries, but they're also going to gather data related to what are the key reasons that people are contacting us within this category. Another way is a more automated approach is through root cause speech analytics, and this is really where speech analytics becomes powerful, and I'll show you that in a second here. But just to show you a little bit more about what precision quality monitoring is, and this is a huge trend within the industry today, is really moving away from just agent-centric to, again, to more process and customer-centric monitoring. We often hear our customers calling their QA programs voice of the customer programs now, because they're actually monitoring customer issues and listening to calls that really matter to the organization versus just random interactions. So what's going to happen is the QA evaluator now gets a to-do list. It's going to tell them what was the reason they're listening to this. What category am I listening to? Either a canceled account, a high-value sales order here, call with multiple transfers. It's going to give them a high-value interaction, and it's automatically assigned, so they don't have to hunt and peck for calls anymore. They're also going to get a targeted evaluation form delivered with the screen video if you're recording screen. And what that means is essentially you don't even have to choose the QA form, and you can have multiple QA forms for different types of categories and different types of interactions, because really not every interaction should be evaluated the same way. There's data you may want to collect on certain types of repeat calls or certain types, of calls, whether it's sales or collections or service. But that automatically gets assigned. And probably one of the most powerful things, and really this drive towards making analytics actionable, has to do with assigning automated coaching and messaging to the questions in the QA form. So if they fall below, if they get a no on the answer, or if they fall below, let's say, 6 out of 10, they'll automatically get a coaching assignment or an alert or messaging. So root cause speech analytics. So essentially, instead of listening to the interactions and evaluating them using your QA team, what you do is apply the speech analytics and really try to determine the why behind specific behaviors or outcomes. By surfacing terms and phrases that appear more frequently on a specific subset of calls, it'll reveal issues that you might not even know to look for. So, if you're listening to those live, you can get that, but speech analytics will quantify a lot of that information that's actually occurring in the call. Like keyword spotting or call categorization, which speech analytics can also do call categorization like desktop analytics. It's just not as accurate. You're going to get more of a trend of whether your call, that category increased or decreased over time, but you're not going to get every call in that category like you would with desktop analytics. But whether you do the categorization by using desktop analytics or speech, you can now dig deeper using speech and figure out really what are the root causes, right? These issues are occurring, fee increase inquiry, they want to change their credit card, maybe the account information wasn't correct. So you look at the root causes and you figure out maybe training isn't effective, right? Maybe you have incorrect processes in place. Maybe the agents, for billing issues, maybe they're not disclosing fees associated with their electronic payment. They might have inadequate negotiation skills, or maybe they're not pushing for electronic payments. So those may be some of the root causes that you're trying to determine. And then it helps you develop an action plan. So you may want to reduce your call volume by adding an automated IVR billing question processing up front. You may want to route cause to specialized agents with billing experience. Maybe you want to add common questions and processes to a self-service website that they can visit. Or maybe you might even decide there's an opportunity to cross-sell or upsell additional services. So now performance analytics, it takes basically the information from interaction analytics, such as desktop analytics and speech analytics, and it makes that information actionable. So it's taking not only that information, but information from your recordings, from your telephony environment, your CRM, your workforce management, pulling it all together and giving it into the format that makes most sense to whatever level you're at within the organization, along with coaching and alerts. So to show the value of performance analytics, I want to go through a case study here and show you how 1-800-Flowers really improved their revenue and decreased costs using performance analytics. At a very complex environment, as you can see here, multiple locations, multiple outsourced partners, an at-home agent program, which now, at the time when we first implemented the solution, they had 2,000 desktops, and now they have all their agents are now at home. They've transitioned them all at home. So they're managing all their agents at home using this type of performance analytics technology to help agents really self-manage themselves. They had a complex technology environment, so we created integrations to all these different systems and show you some of the reports and scorecards that they use. So this is an example of a report. They have multiple brands, so they have reports for different brands. And as you see in the column headers here, there's a lot of information from different systems here. So we have information from sales systems here, conversions, information from their phone systems as well, and other systems. Here are some of the personalized real-time desktop tickers that their agents use. And as you can see, the second one, the service ticker, they actually have revolving tickers where it shows them their metrics. This is a message that is being sent automated to the agent, and then their training that they could click on and take those training courses that have been assigned to that agent based on them falling below on their metrics. So some of the other metrics, the other tickers were sales tickers. They had a management ticker that showed, their team's 53's performance versus the entire location and so forth. So very powerful here, very motivational to show agents and let them self-manage their performance. Here's an example of their personalized scorecard. So you could drill down on any of those tickers, and the agents can bring up their scorecard, and they can see on a daily, weekly, and monthly view on how they're doing on their key metrics. So what's nice is 1-800-Flowers has also integrated real-time alerts and messaging based off the results of the KPI. So, for example, if the conversion percentage falls below 50% and they've taken 10 calls that day, then they'll get a reminder or an alert, the agents will. The auto-in percentage is less than 88%. Again, there's alerts and reminders. Average sales less than $52, and they've actually taken 10 orders that day, then managers get notified to look deeper into why that might be occurring. And then customer satisfaction scores, both in sales and service departments, also trigger notifications. Here's an example of their coaching. So as agents fall below on their metrics or fall behind and there's skill gaps that need to be addressed, they automatically get assigned coaching, and you can see here which agents passed and which ones didn't pass, and you can drill down to see exactly how much time agents even spent on each question, whether they got each question right or wrong. So very nice detailed reporting. This is what we call a learning management system. Basically, it gives you a consistent view, a consolidated view across all your locations or remote agents as to how they're doing on various types of e-learning and coaching. And here are some of the significant results. Basically, they were able to reallocate a lot of their full-time equivalents, reduced their, obviously cut down on paper, and the key benefits are really revenue generation. If you put these tickets in front of sales agents or collections agents, it's amazing how competitive these agents are, and they will just almost instantly, this is within 6 months of this tracking period, almost instantly start producing more. So they saw 5 additional sales per day and 3% increase in their sales conversions, and they were recently awarded the ICMI Call Center of the Year for stellar service levels. They have really great agent morale. It doesn't help that their agents, it doesn't hurt that their agents are working from home as well, and great customer retention and satisfaction. So I know we're a little bit over time here, but I just wanted to go through this. This is really key when, no matter what type of analytics you choose or combination of analytics you choose, it's very important that you really define the business problems and impact of those problems ahead of time. You got to define your objectives. So if there's one thing that I see most often out there is, people think that technology is cool, they like it, they say, oh, desktop analytics, speech analytics, performance analytics, we've got to have it, right? Everyone else is getting it. But you have to really understand what you're trying to accomplish before you even decide which one of those that you're going to embark on. And then once you've done that, you really have to assign a dedicated project team and involve key business leaders, not just business leaders within the contact center, but outside. What's going to happen is you're going to start getting, no matter what type of analytics you deploy, you're going to get a lot of information quickly that you didn't know about. And it may not always be within the contact center. You may need help outside the contact center with logistics or marketing to actually influence and make changes, especially on first contact resolution and things like that. So you want to involve key business leaders, get them on board with this initiative, and make sure it's not siloed, this initiative. Make sure there are connectors to other systems within your enterprise, and that you have, kind of key players from different departments involved. And then what you want to do is really identify measurable and actionable KPIs. KPIs that, all right, if this KPI changes, who's accountable for that KPI? Who's going to take action on it? So many times I see, companies say, oh, we want to track this, and if it actually goes down, they don't have anyone assigned or that's responsible for that, and there's really no action plan around that. So it's very important. And then conduct a measurable pilot. One of our flowers and a lot of our customers do pilots, and it just makes sense, right? Try it out on a department, try it out on a center, and see the results, and make sure you're measuring the results. And we help our customers measure the results of their pilots, and we establish the objectives up front, and then typically 45 days. And then we review those pilot results and help you develop a business case to take it enterprise-wide. So this all helps you ensure success and really remove the risk associated with it. If you do it successful, these are just some other examples of some of the benefits and savings that our customers have achieved. And we would definitely look forward to the opportunity to work with you to try to improve your operations and better understand your customers and improve satisfaction. So if you have any questions, and I see some great questions coming in here, we'll take just a few minutes of questions because it looks like we're a little bit over here. Apologize for that. But there is a lot of questions revolving around the PowerPoint presentation. We will make that available to you, so we'll send that to you via email, a link to the presentation, as well as a link to the recorded webinar here. So you can share that with anyone who may be interested. We also invite you to join the Call Center Experts group. It's a group that I moderate on LinkedIn and facilitate. We have some excellent discussions. There's about 7,000 of us collaborating on that. So we invite you to join the Call Center Experts group. And I'd like to get to some of the great questions that we have here. And if you have any other questions, please feel to use the question dialog box. The first question we have, and this looks like it's geared towards Aphrodite, which analytic solutions make the most sense in real time?
Okay, so that was a great presentation. Thanks, Patrick. I think in real time, there's obviously some capabilities that make sense in real time and some analysis that is better to do after the interactions have taken place. And I think from the standpoint of text analytics, like performance analytics and desktop analytics, there's a lot of really great real-time capabilities. For example, agents being able to see their own kind of scores along the top of their screen can help them to kind of get a better gauge on how they're doing both during the call and in between calls. And when it comes to desktop analytics, I think real-time analytics can be used to kind of, depending on the actions that agents take on the screen, provide real-time guidance or like scripting alerts to try and help them deliver information to agents as is live. And I think in terms of speech analytics, we're beginning to see some more real-time capabilities, but I think at the moment the best use cases for speech analytics are for kind of root cause analysis after the interactions have taken place. I think in the future we're going to see more links to speech analytics for things like knowledge management, so that you're providing agents with access to the right information automatically from knowledge management so that they don't have to search for things themselves. And that's just kind of a quick overview, but I think there's some more use cases I can talk about if anyone wants to contact me afterwards.
Great, thank you. Here's another question we have for you. Are these analytics technologies mature, or should we wait to deploy them?
So I think the three tools that we've been kind of discussing in detail today, performance analytics, desktop analytics, and speech analytics, are mature and they can all be used and have great value to you today. I think as long as they match your business needs and your business objectives, I think it makes sense. But at the same time, I think we expect to see a few new features and new functionality appearing within speech analytics and process analytics, and more especially in terms of the multi-channel, cross-channel analytics solutions. I would say kind of today, like focus on the performance, the desktop, and the speech analytics, and maybe kind of over the next 6 months to 2 years, look at how you can add multi-channel capabilities and understand customers more.
Great, thank you, Aphrodite. Here's another question. Which analytics should we use to monitor supervisor productivity? And I can take that, and if there's anything you want to add, Aphrodite. Really, what we've seen is performance analytics, performance management. It's fantastic, not only for looking at agent performance, but also looking at team performance as well and supervisor performance. So their ability to see their results, their team's results versus other teams' results. And not only, if you think about supervisors, right, they should be spending 60% or more of their time coaching, right, which isn't always the case because a lot of times they're spending time reporting and doing other things. But you're able to track that team's coaching performance and how much time they're spending even with individual agents on coaching sessions, whether it be live personal coaching sessions or delivering a desktop coaching. So to be able to really look at not only their team's performance, supervisor by supervisor, but also how much time are they really spending, coaching their agents, and how effective is that coaching? What are their team's coaching results? So I think performance analytics is fantastic from a supervisor productivity perspective. All right, and then another question we have here has to do with how can we use analytics to better understand social media? So I think, Aphrodite, that refers to some of the new technologies that you're referring about that are coming down the pipeline here.
Yeah, sure. And I think analytics and social media is really an emerging area. We've seen kind of a few social media monitoring tools available in the market today, and I think some of the kind of the speech analytics, contact center analytics vendors are starting to integrate social media analytics into their contact center tools. I think this is something that we're going to see to start evolving. But at the same time, I think it's important to address social media, both from the analytics standpoint and within your customer service organization, just to try and understand how customers are interacting with these mediums and if there's any information that they're using that can be valuable to your organization.
Great, thank you. All right, then we have a question on desktop analytics here. How well do current desktop analytics tools handle virtualized environment? And that's something that they actually handle well, whether it be a Citrix environment or terminal services environment. Essentially, you do the mapping at a central location, and then it just captures that information, from the multiple desktops that are being used. So it's something that is definitely something that we have customers that are interested in doing and can be done. So another question here has to do with this one. Has to do with the two types of methods of speech analytics that you referred to, Aphrodite, the phonetic and the dictionary types of speech analytics. LVCSF. Let's see. Where do you see the major benefits between two different types of speech technologies, speech analytics?
So I think the most obvious one is that the LVCSR offers transcription of the calls, and the phonetic indexing is, in some instances, it can be faster to kind of search through the calls. There's less processing involved because you don't have to do all the transcription of the audio to text. But I think the way that we're seeing the market going is really with a combination of the two technologies, and that's what most of the vendors are offering today. So you'll get the kind of transcription and the phonetic indexing and get the best of kind of both, like the speedy kind of search for words. At the same time, you'll be able to have the text all laid out in front of you, which is kind of easier to look through visually and also to search for words.
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to agree with you there. So really, where it's going, and what we see is a combination of those two, and it just makes sense because there's certain times when you really just want to get to those phrases or keywords, right? It's more of the word spotting type. But when you're getting into root cause analysis, it makes a lot more sense to use a dictionary-based approach where you don't necessarily need those results right away, but you really want to dig into why customers are saying those types of things. So here's a question: what approach do you take to collect data where there are multiple CRM platforms being utilized? Typically, we can either do this in two ways. So through desktop analytics can capture information from any system. It's independent of the actual system being used. So whether they go through multiple CRM systems, and as long as that data appears on their application, we can tag that to the interaction and capture the information. Or for some customers, we actually do just a back-end API hook into those CRM systems just to grab that data from the database and just pull it into our database, and then that information can be presented. So, either there's kind of two options, and it just depends on your workflow, and if that information that you want to capture is showing up in the agent application, so easy to pull it through desktop analytics. If there's information that may not necessarily show up, then you may want to just do an API to the actual CRM system to grab that information. So it looks like those are some of the main questions. We do have a few more questions, but in an essence of time, I know we're 15 minutes over here. I just wanted to thank you so much for your time today. If you do have any questions or there's any that we weren't able to get to, we'll be sure to address those individually with you, and then look forward to the opportunity to working with you to really determine what your business objectives are and match you up with the best solution, best analytics solution, or combination of those solutions to meet your needs. So look forward to the opportunity to work with you, and thank you so much for your time today.